I'd been to a lot of schools, and I'd been expelled or asked to leave three, and then I ended up at King Edward's in Standard 7, which I suppose is grade 9 now. I joined in the second term, and my mom, to be really open, my mom was in her third marriage, and he was not. I didn't want to be around this guy. I was an unbelievably naughty kid, and so at hostel, if you misbehaved, you had a choice. You could go and do what was called gardening on Saturday morning with Mr. Moffat, or you could get whipped by the prefects with a sawn-off hockey stick, which that was my choice because I'd received a lot of hidings in my life. Nothing came easily, so. Yeah, I feel in those early years where my life was so tumultuous, I was such a problem child, and I could have gone in so many directions. That school just gave me this sort of grounding and this foundation upon which I've been able to become. I'm proud of the journey I've traveled, and I really think King Edward's has played a big part of that. And I don't say that meaning King Edward's is perfect, and there are all sorts of things you could list that it didn't get right and so forth and that. But I feel deeply connected, and I'm still involved in the school, and I find it a huge privilege and honor to give back. Pornography was legalized at that time in '94 in South Africa. There was a lot of change. So we took the most awarded porn movie at the time, and I convinced my girlfriend at the time to buy a second VHS. She's like, why are we going to do that? So I was like, no, we can copy the movies we really like. She was quite well off. So we were just duplicating it. It was Janine Lindemulder's Hidden Obsessions. And we were duplicating them. And then I was working at restaurants, and I would sell them at the restaurant. You always got an ego pornography market at a restaurant with some of the kitchen staff, some of the guys. That's how the journey started. I started selling computers, engineering calculators, under Rian, who'd opened that door for me. Brian joined us shortly after that. And then the business started growing in South Africa. We came on the name NetShirt in late 99, which was really this idea of technology, IT support, insurance, which was born out of the idea that small and medium enterprises were being exploited and taken advantage of with their technology, and there wasn't a trusted, reliable service provider that was looking after them. And we grew organically from there, and in 2004, we were invited to participate in Microsoft, what they call a partner advisory council, which was a strong partnership with Microsoft. And I would fly to Seattle 2-3 times a year. I would fly through New York, and I ended up building up some friends in New York, and the business continued to grow. And in 2015, another story over tequila, managed to convince a friend in New York that we should be their IT services company. Closed that deal at 8 Rand to the dollar. Within 6 months, it had gone to 12 Rand to the dollar. So we said, okay, what are we going to do with this? We want to grow it. So I started planning to move to New York, and in that process, we found an acquisition, and we bought our first business. Made every mistake you could imagine, except go out of business. Those two shareholders we acquired from are still shareholders in the business today. They're amazing people, but we made a lot of mistakes. My wife at the time, by September of 2016, had five miscarriages in the space of 22 months. She broke, went into full-on psychosis, and and there are a lot of things that happened in a very, very, very short space of time. So my relationship imploded. I was so in love with this woman, I cannot even explain to you. It was like, and when I love, it's like a force. And to see this person that inspired me and I loved so much in the midst of me living my entrepreneurial dreams literally see her break after, you've never met anybody that want to be a mother as much as this woman did. And by that fifth miscarriage, she broke. She just broke. And I was filled with shame from the perspective that, I'd been married before. I wanted to spend the rest of my life with that woman. I wanted to spend the rest of my life with this woman. My mom had gone through my mom was married 4 times. I was filled with shame that I'd failed, and business was crazily doing well in the midst of me being quite absent. And, to really share openly, when you have BPD and you go and you have a cognitive collapse like this, where what you believe to be real and what is the truth are 2 different things. And so she'd alleged some things. The NYPD were looking for me. I was at my dad because I'd flown back I never want to miss my dad's birthday on the 1st of January. So I was back in South Africa. I get a text message from my landlord. I was living in the East Village. He says, Orrin, someone from the NYPD was here looking for you. So I'm like, whoa, what's this? And, so you see a smile on my face now, but it was the craziest times. It was probably one of the scariest and lowest times in our business, which I think precipitated this unbelievable growth that we've experienced over the last 5 years. And then on the horizon, coming late 2019, early 2020, we started hearing about this thing, COVID. We did 3 rounds of retrenchments, which for anybody that's run a business, like you get to know your people so deeply, and so like that, it's like family. And so we did 3 rounds of retrenchments. And the retrenchment process in South Africa is rough because you have to give notice and people don't know if it's going to be them or not. It was the most amazing burning platform. Guys, we're losing our 2 biggest customers. There is a what the fuck is a pandemic? Well, it's coming, okay? And suddenly now everybody's ready to make decisions. You didn't have to hold big debates. We're being decisive. We're doing it now. And, over the years in the 2001, 2002 crisis, 2008, 2009, we've built a muscle that if the shit's hitting the fan, we move very quickly and very decisively. And fortunately, that's what we did. And I think it started this trajectory that we're still continuing on to this day. And it makes me think, Brian, walking into a bathroom and someone seeing Pay Me Now and thanking him. Like I can tell you now, with our Dreams program in Netshirt, where we have this process each year where you are encouraged to come up with your top 10 personal. I have people sometimes leave, and 5 years later I get a WhatsApp or a message saying, Orrin, I did this, it was in my dream book. And I'm not saying everybody, I get it all the time, but it carries so much meaning and purpose for me. So from a legacy perspective, we do want to bring on an investment partner next year. And, obviously in that situation, there could come a point where they decide I'm not the right person to lead the business on this next trajectory. But this purpose we have in Netshirt, supporting the dreams of the doers, just carries huge, huge meaning. I have the full quote of it tattooed on my arm from here down. You meet someone and the way you treat them, how kind you are to them, how you might recognize them, the compassion you show, the empathy you show. So you almost think like, is a daily moment a legacy opportunity? And I came away from that thinking, that's so powerful, because he spoke of a moment he had with his uncle in his childhood that has had the hugest impact on his life. And so I really love that idea that we have legacy opportunities in every single day in our lives. And I definitely try and live that. And I think, Brian, the way you said it just resonated so deeply. It wasn't just about me anymore. And I have this this greater responsibility, and I need to be more balanced in how I think about what I need and want in my life and what the business needs.